Welcome back, guys, and today we're watching a video about the quarter zip movement. I've been seeing clips, especially the typical whatever, complain and yap about men not dressing the way they would like them to dress, and as a result, you're gonna make fun of us men as usual. Hey, but hey, there seems to be like a commotion about it. So hey, I was like, you know what? Let's just get straight into it, man. Let me not bore you guys any further.
We don't do Nike Tech. We don't do coffee. It's straight quarter zips and matchas around here.
We don't do Nike Techs, we don't do coffees, we drink matchas and wear quarter zips, gang. We don't do those type of stuff no more. And I go to school now and I read books, bro, and I go to the library. I don't do those activities no more.
Rule number one, as soon as you put on a quarter zip, you become an elitist. Any man that doesn't have one next to you is a peasant, respectfully speaking.
I just saw a white man.
Wait, what? Wait, what the fuck did I just hear? The moment you put in a quarter zip, you're elitist. Anyone that doesn't have a quarter zip that stands next to you is a peasant. What? Ah, God.
Comment, the quarter zip movement is doing more for the black community than the Black Lives Matter movement ever could. And I would just like to take this time to remind y'all that respectability politics will never save the black community.
I'm telling you right now, the CIA will not let the black community slide with wearing quarter zips.
Quarter zip trend is a recession indicator, and a Stone Cold post 2000s great recession indicator at that.
Over the past couple of days, the quarter zip movement has gone from being something cutesy, something to celebrate, something to be funny with, get nice and dressed up about.
This guy is stupid. You're stupid.
Something that is turned very anti very, very quickly. It went from being a celebration of young men showing off their different and unique styles, dibbling and dabbling into different clothing pieces and being unique, into these nasty conversations revolving around anti-blackness, respectability, politics, and just overall gross sentiments, stereotypes, and overgeneralizations. Now, as a young man myself who has been wearing stuff like Nike Techs, blazers, business casual attire for my job and all throughout elementary, middle, and high school, I feel like I'd be the perfect person to talk about as to why this whole quarter zip movement is a little bit nasty.
Watch where you walking.
What did you... Wait a minute. I'm white.
I remember growing up through the uniform era of schools where people were pushing for uniforms being a common thing in public schools, just like they were in private schools. Now, even though my school never enforced uniforms, I remember my mom making it a very, very, very strong point of contention to have me and my brother wear khakis and a polo shirt Monday through Thursday at school. We got to wear jeans on Friday. And all of it was tied to this idea that wearing some sort of business casual attire makes you a better person.
Is it just me, or is it when you put on a quarter zip that the game just changes? Like, I just feel like a different person.
I don't know if this guy's putting on a British accent or not, but it does seem to sound very much British.
See, over the past couple of years, there's been these connotations associated with wearing a shiesty, wearing a Nike Tech, and it's something that...
Wait, I'm gonna say one thing though. Like, this is what I'm saying with like black people, the black community, man. Like, we're really causing a commotion about quarter zip. We're acting like we just invented fire. Like we invented the next, I don't know, I am legend robot or something. Really? A quarter zip? All this commotion about the goddamn quarter zip? Hey, my fault you guys were too stupid to figure out that the quarter zip existed. Like, bruh, I've worn that shit before, like back in primary school, back in early 2000s or something, like, man. But even then, like, better late than never, I guess, because even though the intentions are, from what I'm gathering, is, I'm not the purist, because there seems to be wearing it just for the sake of wearing it to supposedly, feel and look better. I do think in the long term, if this carries on, it will actually, having a positive effect in general and whole within the black community and with black people in general, and like also with other ethnic groups. Because if, let's say, someone that wears a costume just for the sake of wearing it, because they want to look better, they want to stand out, and like because of the trend basically, There will be another black individual person who look at it and go, oh shit, you know what? I've always wanted to wear this quarter zip. I always want to dress like this. Now that I'm seeing it become more popular, now I can finally dress it and won't get clowned for it. So in that sense, look, even though the intentions are wrong, it will still have a good effect nonetheless. It will have a positive chain effect. Yeah, reaction, which is really good. I really think, and I hope it stays. I hope it's not a temporary thing. Honestly, I really do.
That has been a repeat of different eras and different generations. When I was growing up, I remember it was wearing a big baggy jersey or baggy pants. I remember the conversations about wearing braids and how that was somehow tied to unprofessionalism, disgusting behavior. Hell, dreads, I think, are still attached to the connotation that it's messy, dirty, disgusting, etc., etc.
I get that. I get it.
But there's a common theme in all of this, and I'm going to touch on it a little bit later in the video, is that it only seems that when one community wears or does these certain things that it's attributed with these words. It's not like a universal truth, right? But nevertheless, the 2025 version of why identifying some sort of article of clothing is the Nike Tech to quarter zip conversation. I'm gonna be a little bit of a hater right here. Quarter zips is like bare minimum business casual activities, to be quite honest with you. But I digress. I think that this quarter zip movement opens up the conversation of like, why is it that when black people do a certain thing, it's always labeled as unprofessional, ghetto, etc., etc. And why is it that moving off that certain thing always makes you professional or better or whatever the case may be?
So I get the question a lot about dreads or just like having hair in general being professional. It seems like a lot of parents in the black community, especially Africans, believe that having hair is not professional and it makes you look ghetto, raggedy, whatever the terms are, man. Obviously, I'm a young man and I have hair. I'm growing dreads right now. And personally, I see no problem with this.
Same, bro. I'm growing my hair as well. Trying to get dreads.
If you still have the belief that black men can grow out their hair, man, like it's 2024. I thought we were past that. Especially from our parents watching this video, you got to think about it like this. By telling your kids that they can't grow out their hair because, oh, you might be viewed differently. Oh, having dreads make you look unprofessional. I can't blame you, but you're the problem. You're the one that's feeding into this narrative that hair makes us look ghetto or it's unprofessional, it looks unkept. So you are part of the problem.
I'm not too old to remember when a lot of content creators on this platform cut their dreads off. It was even a big deal in the commentary space. People made videos.
What's his name again? Kai Cenat. I think he was one of the ones that started that movement, wasn't he?
About it. Content creators like Blackboy Max or Young Don were people who cut their dreads off. And while they did it for their own reasons, I remember the reception around it where people were saying, oh my God, thank God he did that. He looks better. He looks more professional. And a lot of that was tied to just the most anti-black sentiments that I've ever heard in my life. And it's a shame because a lot of people, even though there is evidence that kind of disproves that or it should be called out, believe that, yo, if you have a certain type of look or a certain type of aesthetic, then hey, you won't be hired or you won't be able to move up in your day-to-day life.
As a black man, you have to cut your hair to move up in this world, brother.
What? I don't even know. That's so nasty to say.
Well, that's crazy, man. That's actually a crazy statement.
In the big 2-5, bro. So nasty to say. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Omar is the too woke friend. And trust me, I don't actually have a problem with people wearing the quarter zips. It's just a conversation surrounding it. And every time that we talk about these things, people love to sprinkle in their anti-black sentiment. I want young black men and young black people in general just to know, like, you can be yourself.
Literally.
You can be the individual.
Look, like I said before, I really think it's a good thing. It will do the black community, the black people good, especially the American black community, so to speak. I really do think it will have a positive effect as a whole on them. Because there are genuine people like black kids out there that have been wanting to dress like that, but they don't want to or they can't because they're too scared to be judged. Some people want to even wear suits or something. Or like, smart shirts, like ties. But they don't want to or can't because, they feel like they will get judged for not wearing, I don't know, Jordans, baggy outfits. Like, be up to date with the styles, right? Probably the parents are trying to force them and then maybe they take extra, pair of clothing to school to get changed and then, get out of the clothes because they don't want to be, clowned by their friends. I really think it's a good thing. Because now generally they can embrace who they really are, like see different other ways of, clothing. Plus with that as well, like, like probably black people don't like to hear this, but like other ethnic groups like such as white and Asian, if they see black people, wear, look more professional, so to speak, they will see us in a better way, in a better light. As a whole, no matter what, it's a good thing. So that's why I don't understand why people are trying to complain, are trying to yap about this. Like, even with the thing with the hair, when I got something about as a black person, you're gonna cut your hair. Like, bro, no. It doesn't matter how long your hair is, as long as well maintained and it looks neat and tidy. It don't matter what and how your hair looks like. Okay, well, unless you start painting like Takeshi 69, then okay, that's a whole different story. But you get my point. No matter what, it's like whenever black people trying to, get better, improve, some sort of, negative stigma needs to be attached to it instantly. Like, bruh, you all drinking coffee. Oh my God, black people are drinking coffee. Shouldn't be drinking coffee as a black person. The fuck you mean? It's just coffee.
You can still stick to the trend. Because the reality of it is that it's only ghetto and unprofessional because you're doing it. Nobody cares when the white kids do it. Nobody cares when the Asian kids do it. Nobody cares when the Hispanic kids, I can't necessarily say. But I remember when they forced black youth to really look hard about baggy pants and bigger t-shirts, et cetera, et cetera. And now, all of a sudden, in the big 2-5, that is the go-to standard for clothing and outfits. And nobody's saying that these kids look ghetto or unkept or whatever the case may be. They're calling them stylish and fashion icons. Yep. But what people are missing out on is that all of this conversation is tied to respectability politics. And respectability politics overwhelmingly affect one group of people, and it shouldn't.
Quarter zip or Nike Tech, you deserve to be respected regardless. You can be a terrible person in a quarter zip and a great person in Nike Tech, and vice versa. Y'all be letting respectability politics play in your ass, genuinely. You don't have to conform to white versions of professionalism to be seen as a respectable person. Oh, I used to be a YN that drank Hennessy and wore Nike Techs, but now I'm a professional black person with a quarter zip on and drinking matcha. And I know you guys are going to hit my comments and say it's just a joke, it is not that deep. However, you can demonize a lot of stuff by just making something a joke. When you guys say, oh, that's gay as hell, you're being homophobic, but it's just a joke. When a white person says, oh, that's ghetto, he's being racist, but that's just a joke. When y'all say, oh, your back is big as hell, you're being fat phobic, but it's just a joke. You see the point that I'm making here? You don't need white man paperwork to be respected. You don't.
I think all of this ties back into the professionalism conversation that we've been having over the course of the past year. We've been criticizing the teachers, we've been criticizing the doctors, we've been criticizing the pilots, et cetera, et cetera. But every time that I hear these conversations about professionalism, it is overwhelmingly only impacting one group of people specifically, and really no other group gets called out about their anti-professional ways.
I think professionalism is inherently anti-black.
I love this take because people are so vehemently opposed to it when they first hear it, but after they give it some time, they're usually much more receptive. My favorite part about this take is that it immediately forces you to recognize the fact that professionalism is almost intrinsically non-existent, and the whole concept of professionalism is just tone policing on a larger scale. I can't speak for professional cultures globally, but professional cultures in America exist almost exclusively to squelch black concepts and black identity. The idea that everyone in the workplace has to look the same, has to have the same general attire. I mean, knowing what time of American history that came from kind of already clues you in on the fact that that was so that people who were poorer were not allowed to work somewhere. But even brought into today, if you wear clothes that are affiliated with blackness, people can be like, oh, that's unprofessional, with really no basis on what that means, no basis on how that impacts your job, how that impacts your ability to work. They can just say you're unprofessional. This is not a professional attire for our professional environment.
In my experience in working in corporate America, I've seen things.
Hold on a minute.
Attire for our
Broski, what is this background? Is that cheese or is that cake or something? What is this background?
Professional environment.
In my experience in working in corporate America, I've seen things, specifically clothing items, be attributed to a certain group of people and also be attributed to unprofessionalism. And one example I know of my coworkers to be wearing Jordans while at work, a sneaker for what it's worth. And we're not talking about some crazy colorway, which shouldn't necessarily matter. But we're talking about a simple black and red colorway to go with his black pants and his red shirt, dressing like a damn Target employee.
But said no. See, why you even say that? I don't know. I think. I don't think when it comes to corporate setting, corporate world, wearing Jordans to the office when it's not dressed down. Nah. I don't think, no matter what the color is, they could be as plain as white. I do not think you should wear Jordans because they are still Jordans. They are trainers. They are trainers, basketball trainers. I don't think Jordans, like, I get what he's saying, but I do not think Jordans, like trainers in general, should be part of your, corporate attire unless it's dressed down. That's just my take, but I do get what he's saying on this.
Worker was called out by management simply due to the fact that he was wearing Jordans. This is
Yeah.
a sneakers environment, but because Jordans had this connotation towards him, he got called out for it. Now, this is not me telling
Oh,
people
wait, it's a
to
sneaker
ditch the
environment,
idea
okay.
of getting any sorts of sweaters, button-ups, quarter zips, trousers, suits, or whatever the case may be, because statistically speaking, at the end of the day, that stuff does matter in an interview, and hey, call it performative if you want. Omar's not gonna pay your bills. I do want you to get a job. But I think what has to be put in the forefront of people's minds is that the goalpost is forever moving. When I was growing up, the stuff that they wear in Silicon Valley, the t-shirts and the jeans and stuff like that, would have never been acceptable in a workplace. And now that is damn near the standard in a lot of industries.
Having to dress business casual or business professional is super dumb. Like, if that's how you like to dress, go ahead, wear what you like wearing. But that being required for some things is kind of weird. Because if you really think about it, there was probably some rich dude one day who wore suits all the time, and then that became the standard. But who's to say suits are really professional? If people started wearing suits for streetwear, then they wouldn't be professional anymore. So really, it's all arbitrary. Who's to say that a hoodie and shorts isn't professional? Adam Sandler's rich and conducts business, and that's what he wears. And suits be mad expensive. I feel like the concept was kind of created to price certain people out of a certain job. But maybe I'm tripping.
So now the quarter zip has
I kinda
become
hear
some
that.
sort of trend, and people are talking down on the way that black people have dressed over the past couple of years. The stuff that these trends and little jokes give power to is honestly insane. I'm now seeing these content creators who have been labeled as white their whole lives, got picked on or bullied for the way that they speak and talk, come from the pits of, I don't know where, their corporate job, and are getting off think pieces about how black people are now trying to replicate them because they're more successful.
The quarter zip trend doesn't make sense to me, albeit because I am
Don't
what
say
they're
that.
trying to replicate.
What do you mean the quarter zip trend and trying to be white? Let's hear. Let's see what this brother got to say.
But then I realized that is the commentary. I've talked about before how there is a group of black people who genuinely does not know that black people like me exist. And previously the idea was, okay, sure, they exist, but it's one of them in a group of 99 white people. And so this one black person is trying to be white by doing these things, dressing this way, carrying themselves in this way, etc., etc. However, because of social media, now they're suddenly being exposed to this. So it's not, oh, this one black person is trying to fit in with all of these white people. It's like, oh, there are actually several black men who look like this and act like this. So now it's okay because I can dress like this and be copying a black man rather than copying a white man and trying to be white. I do think it's signaling a shift. Because the pendulum is always going to swing. So you went to this very super casual, look a mess part of the spectrum, and now you're going to swing back to people looking like they care about themselves. And especially when you're seeing hip hop starting to fade out of the zeitgeist, people
just
getting,
give it all up. Get the anti-blackness out there.
Things, I do think that it is a small indicator of the pendulum starting to swing the other way.
Oh, you got these people, man. Just say you hate black culture and just be on with your life, I swear. Now, I do believe that there is an...
Okay, that's not what he was trying to say, but and that's a bit extreme, but okay, right? But I do kind of get what he's saying. Not him, not Omzi, Omar. Like, no, what the other black brother was saying. Because, believe it or not, people like him truly were getting judged, for wearing and dressing a certain type of way. Like, literally, I remember, like, when I was, that's my first corporate job, and I literally was wearing, like, trousers, very nice trousers, nice fine shoes, and I was wearing, what was it called again? I forgot what it was called again, but essentially, as I would call it now, even back then, I dress up like proper white. And I liked it because it looked very professional, like was semi-professional. The fact that we, associate dressing and looking professional to white, it's just like, but we're like disrespecting ourselves by saying black people in general, like they don't dress professional. They just drag it and all kind of shit. But anyways, the point is, I kind of forgot what my point was, but my point is that, I think my point was, yeah, I remember now. Even the people at work, like, the black people at my work. You know what's fun? The crazy part is the black people at my work started making fun of me, saying that I dress too white. Like, oh, you don't look black, blah blah blah, stuff like this. I'm like, man, I'm like wait, what? I was wearing suspensions. Yeah. I was like, what? I'm just a professionally. Just because you don't dress up like that doesn't mean I'm now white. But so I fully get his point. So now, because obviously, from the sounds of it, he's been dressing like that his entire life. So people are making fun of him for dressing up like that. So now he's saying that, oh, people now are making it acceptable to not dress up like this, when back then it wasn't. So I kind of get what he's trying to say, what he's saying. So I don't think he's being anti-black or whatever. Anyway, because that should happen to me as well. Well, they're making fun of me for dressing up like that, basically. It was simply just a professional setting. Because the white people at my work, they weren't even complaining. Like, yeah. If anything, they started making fun of me once the black people started making fun of me. Because nobody else was dressed very, like, it didn't help like that. It was not dressed up like that, but nonetheless. Yeah, it's still a professional work. Man, black people are, because they would have never started doing what they're doing if those black people didn't, set the tone, the pace of making fun of me for dressing the way I was dressed. Saying, oh, like, you're dressing white. And then the white people start saying, oh, you dressed up whiter than me. And I am white. I'm like, can a brother not just simply dress up professionally and look professional without being clowned and being labeled as being white? Like, man, that's insane, man. That's insane. So I do get that guy's point.
Indicator that isn't being talked about in this whole quarter zip movement, and that is the indication of a recession indicator. You see, in the past, people used to wear business casual clothes just out and about. If you go through the different movements that Jay-Z has put on, that Kanye West has put on, Pharrell, Snoop Dogg, hip-hop, athletes, whatever the case may be, people wore polos, people wore sweaters, people wore blazers, people wore all these things. And a large portion of the reason why it was co-opted by regular people in the mainstream media is because there was no money around. But you had to have some sort of professional clothing. Hell, that's what your ancestors taught you. And you still wanted to get fly and impress. So people started to wear different business casual clothing to malls, to clubs, to gatherings, to outings and stuff like that.
If we look back at the 08 recession, it's crazy how much of the signs of it coming are reflected in what we are seeing now almost 20 years later. We can start with the quarter zips, which is not a bad trend by any means, but it reminds me of when everybody was going to parties and clubs wearing business casual in the early 2000s. A lot of people argue that trend started based on the club discrimination that we often still see today. Like if a club doesn't want black people, they usually can't just say that. But they can ban what they think black people like to wear. Thus the business casual in the club. And that marked the time period of the Great Recession, like what a lot of people like to call recession pop did. Recession pop was the music that was coming out around that time. Think LMFAO, Flo Rida, early Kesha, early Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj's whole first album, and even early Soulja Boy. But the idea that the demand for escapist, high-energy party songs with a fun or outright positive vibe would go up at a time when your average American would value an escape from a day-to-day life being heavily influenced by the economic downturn that caused the foreclosure, divorce, and unemployment rates to spike at that time.
All in all, this is just the same story, new day for what's going on in the cultural movement and the zeitgeist of culture, fashion, politics, everything. And it all started with a damn quarter zip. There are some dog whistles laced into the conversation. A lot of the videos that I consumed when this movement first came out was a ton of light-skinned dudes telling their dark-skinned friends that they're ghetto and unprofessional, which I had a problem with being a dark-skinned brother, but I laughed it off ultimately. I do think it's cool to see that there are young people that can, put some sort of professional attire on. I was scared for a little while, especially after seeing all those videos of young people going to interviews wearing God knows what. Because even though it is...
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
Discriminatory, hey, do what you gotta do to get a job. But ultimately, things like this and Subway bringing back the $5 footlong lets me know that there is a recession coming around the corner. And hell, it is already here. I just don't want young black men to ever lose themselves in the music, the moment. You want it. You won't never let it go. You only got one shot to be young, and then after that, you're not gonna be putting on quarter zips and, dad's shoes for fun. You're gonna be doing it out of necessity. Might I propose a little bit of a...
Nah, that's actually a good point, man. Enjoy your youth while you can, man. Wear whatever you want to wear, like enjoy youth. Because once, like I was telling my sister, now that she finally got the first ever part-time job after, I gotta help her out, with CV and, lie. It's not lying, just spend the truth a little bit, basically. But yeah, she's not excited that she's gonna get it, that she got a job and she's starting very soon. I'm telling her, yo, you're excited right now, but once you start working, you're gonna be like, I don't want this job no more, because you realize like, no, like it's like you're entering a whole new world. So yeah, like generally enjoy your youth while you can, man. Enjoy it to the fullest. Because once you start working that kind of stuff, man, once you get a full-time job and enter adulthood, man, life changes, man. It really does, man. Because then at that point, like Omzi said, it's a necessity. You gotta work out of necessity, to pay bills. Not that it's a choice. Right now, she's working purely due to her choice. She doesn't have to work, but she is. So it's a choice. But sooner or later, it's gonna be a necessity for her.
Compromise. This quarter zip right here is tech fleece material. Unc is still doing his business casual thing, but simultaneously, I'm just like the YNs. I don't know. Try to...
Anyways, yeah. Anyway, shout out to Omzi, man. Yeah, shout out to Omzi, man. What about, yeah. I always say what I need to say, man. Like, just, I think as a whole, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing for the black community in the US, man. But just as he said at the end, man, like, enjoy your youth, man. Enjoy your youth while you can. At the same older anything. Anyways, I'm still in my 20s. But hey, thanks for watching, man. Really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you like. And until next time. Peace out.